Hello, I have been asked to show you how to make these face masks that go over a healthcare professional's N95 mask to help preserve the life of those. And so that's what I will be explaining for you. Okay, so we've got our cutter here, cutting this out for you. I made myself a little pattern so you know how to cut it, or so it would be easier to cut. So if you want to make your own pattern, it should be 9 across wide and 8 tall. And when you pulls in this direction, this should be your wide, should be your 8 inches, sorry, your 9 inches going across. And this is your tall. There's no give going up and down. So this should be the height.
So the direction that gives no give should be your height, and the direction that pulls a little bit should be your width.
Yes. Okay. So make yourself a pattern if that makes it easier. And you're going to cut out 2 pieces of fabric. This is made of a lightweight cotton. This is the type of fabric that will go closest to the wearer's mouth. This fabric right here is more of a thick canvas material. Your thicker fabric will go on the outside of the wearer's mouth. Okay, so we've got everything cut out. We've got our cotton fabric that will go on the inside of the mask. This is our canvas fabric to go on the outside of the mask. And I have 2 pieces of elastic. Both of these are 1/4 inch wide and 13 inches long. And if you don't have elastic, I only have a teeny bit left. I will show you in another quick little video how to make some ties out of knit fabric. So here's how we're going to do this. I'm going to start with this cotton fabric. This tie is going to go around like this. So I'm going to place it down basically in this order. It's going to spring up when I let go of it, but I'm going to try to put it back in its corners. This bottom elastic is eventually going to be like this when it's all sewn and done, and we're going to spring it back into this corner. I'll just kind of turn it as I get ready to put, yeah, that didn't hold at all. As I get ready to put my next fabric on, we're going to sandwich the elastic in between these 2 fabrics. And I like to use, these are sewing clips. They're a lot quicker and easier than a pin, but I'll show you a pin as well. So I've got 1, 2, 3 layers here. And I'm going to double check that my elastic is going in the right direction, not tangled up, and I've got the right thread here, or the right end. I'm going to put it right here in this corner and sandwich it in between my 2 fabrics. And I'll grab a pin, place it where it belongs. I'm going to do my other 4 corners. This one has sprung up a lot, so I have to double check it. And I can pin it. And just kind of smooth it out. And I'll place it here with my other, oops, I lost it. I got distracted by this little piece of fabric I'm going to cut off and it let go. So I need to make sure this stays in our corner. This is the end of my roll, so it's more tight, wants to go back to being a tight elastic roll. So make sure I've got that real good. I'm not a pinner, so for myself, I would quit here and not keep pinning. But I understand a lot of people want to make sure their fabric doesn't wiggle around, and so feel free to go around and pin everything here in place and hold your fabric nice and tight. This is the extra move, and you can use pins. This is the quick version. You can also do the same thing right here with a pin like this. I'm going to begin. My elastic is basically making a U shape right here, and I'm going to begin right here. Sew around the corners all the way and end right here. We're going to give it, just for simplicity, make sure we stay on target here. I want to leave a 3-inch opening here, so I'm going to grab piece of chalk. This is sewing chalk, but any chalk would work. And just give myself a starting, go around, and a stopping point. People can use this opening to put in little filters, and they've asked that we sew it with a little pocket. So that's what this is, a little pocket here. And I'll show you how to complete that. So gonna put this down. I'm sewing on a 1/2 inch inseam. I put this tape here for my daughter who is learning to sew, and so it's helpful if you want to remind yourself where exactly a 1/2 inch is. And I'll line up this beginning point under my foot, put this over to my 1/2 inch inseam. I'm using just a straight stitch. I will begin a little bit, back up, and go forward and make a little knot, and go around to the corner. Forward, backward, forward, backward, and let's go. I'm holding on to this elastic so it doesn't spring back up. And as I hit the elastic right now, I'm going to go backwards and forward just a little bit and hold that nice down tight. Leave my needle down, pick up the foot, and turn around. Make sure as you're going, this elastic wants to get into my inseam. Don't let it, so scoot it over so you're not hitting your elastic anymore. You can still feel it, it's right here, so I'm staying clear of it. I'm getting close to the next elastic I can feel right here, and just make sure we don't want to sew it until it's in its corner, so I'll just kind of move it out of the way. I'm going to snag feel right here. Okay, I'm holding on to it with my fingers. Making sure it's in the corner, and back up, and just forward and backwards and grab it real tight. You don't want the elastic to pull out. There you go. Right there. Okay, feel the elastic. There, grab it in the corner, keep my needle down, and keep it out of the way. Here's my last elastic right here. Back and forth, and we're turning. This will be our last turn, and we're going to end right here on this line that we made. And back up. Put our needle up and cut our string. I'm going to go through my hole that I made, or the gap that I left, and push this inside out. If you have a chopstick or a turning tool or a pencil, this will help this process a lot better. A finger can't quite do it. I use this tool right here. It came, I don't know where it came from. So I'm going to go across and push all of my seams out, starting right up top, out to the corners. Push those corners out real well, and push all these corners, and then just kind of like smooth out all of the edges. And push this corner out. Smooth out the edges. While I'm thinking about it, I'm going to stop right here. I'm hanging on to my tool. I'm just going to wake up my iron that's been sitting here and it's probably asleep. I'm going to use it in a second, and I want to make sure it's hot. So, okay. Pushing my corners. All right, all of my corners. That's my last one. Are pushed out. You can see these corners aren't crisp because we didn't cut them, but that's just fine. All right, push this down. Now we're going to iron these nice and straight. You want to make sure this gap that we just made is pushed in and directly over the other piece. So I'm going to kind of start there. This canvas fabric that I have doesn't really want to iron at all, so it's not going to do that much on this side. But we'll just start here and keep it straight, and then it'll work better here on the cotton side. Iron that real stiff. I'll give it one more. Just I want those edges pressed and this fabric to all want to be together. Okay, look for my hole. There's my gap right here. So the first thing I'm going to do right now is put this into my machine and just stitch across this bottom layer, and then flip it over, and I'm going to stitch across this top layer, and this will leave a little pocket in case people need to put filters Some companies are requesting to leave a pocket open for things to put inside. So it's not going to be the prettiest. We could make it look a lot more finished for any other reason, but because they just want a pocket, we're just going to go for simplicity, and that's just to sew it on and not worry about it. So I'm going to stick it in here. You have to be careful not to grab your top material, and so I'm just going to let's just grab that out of the way and start right there. And I'm going to go just kind of on the edge. This will leave kind of a frayed edge because we haven't finished it, and that's okay. Let's fix this string where it belongs. There we go. All right, I'm just going to go forward and backward and whoop, and sew this down. One, and I have two different, I have a white on top thread and blue on the bottom thread, just so I can show you the different stitches I'm doing. There's the white thread on top, so it's going to show, we'll cut these strings, but that's going to show those strings. And I'm going to sew this part down, same as we did before. That will leave white on top and blue on the bottom. Oop, I went too far. Back up a little, get out of there. Forward and backwards. That makes our knot. Now I'm going to cut all those strings. Okay, so we're done ironing. You want your gap, your pocket, to be up on top. This will go over the head like this, and we're going to make our pleats here. First pleat should be about 1 inch. I'll grab that and measure, and that's about 1 inch. And so I grabbed the fabric, pulled it up and down, and that's how you make a pleat. On this side, I'll show you how to do it with a pin. Just stab it down and back up. Okay, I'm going to go down and make our next one. This will be about 1/2 inch from the next one. My bottom finger is just pulling the fabric up and pulling the fabric down. I think that's about 1/2 inch. I'll do just a little bit less. Okay, hold that down. I'm going to clip it, and I'm going to pin it. Made our second pleat. And go again, make a third pleat. Our total inches should be 3 inches, she said. So that makes 3 inches. That makes about 2.5, so maybe I pulled it a little tight. Makes about 3. That's about 1/2 inch down from your last one. Let's go a little bit more room there. So I pin it here, and I'm going to iron this in place just to hold it nice. So we can sew it. I'm getting tired. Okay, we're going to put it under the machine. I think I'll start here. I'm going to begin right here where my little pocket gap has ended. So around, back up, and end where my pocket gap has begun. This will secure your edges better to hold this pocket down nice for people who need it. All right, so let's bring this over. Let's see, since this is the finished product, I actually want my blue string to be over here, be less noticeable, and my white string to be on top. So I'm going to, and I don't recommend using 2 different threads. I just thought it would be easier to see. I'm going to begin right here, right where that ends. It'll secure the side of the pocket. And I'm going to go edge stitching right here on the edge. Backwards, forward to make your knot. Now because I flipped it upside down, it's going to be harder to grab my pins. Right to the edge, and I'm going to leave the needle down and turn. And I'm going to hang on to this pleat real well and get my next pin out of the way. Might want to help it go over those pleats. Take out my next pin. And keep your needle down and turn. And we're going to just zip right across the top. Sit over to the edge and turn. Let's turn, and I'm going to stop at my gap. Forward and backward, make a knot. Pull it up. Cut it. All right, we are basically done. I'm going to cut my 4 strings. We've got our top and bottom over here. And then top and bottom over here. And I'm going to just press it one more time because things look better when they're pressed nice and tight, especially this canvas that doesn't exactly want to be sitting here in this pleat. So keep it hot and press it down hard. All right, so we have finished sewing this mask. This little pocket that we made goes on the top, so I'll show you how to put it on here. This goes on the bottom, this pocket, top, bottom. Up on top. Here we go. And it might be a little bit loose, and it's supposed to go over N95 respirator one. So it would fit just right on somebody who needed to go to protect their own mask. There we go. All done.